Good morning and welcome to Story Time. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, yes, we're back and today we're reading The Little Frog with the Bottle Top Hat, A New Home, and it is written by Din Vivarelli and illustrated by Curtis Walker. Yes, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I am glad to be here and yes, excited about this one. Good morning to you and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you are. Very, very welcome. Get settled, get your drink, and be sure, yes, to be comfortable and ready for The Little Frog with the Bottle Top Hat, A New Home, written by Dean Vivarelli and illustrated by Curtis Walker. Yes, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's see who we have joining us today. Good morning to you, Anders, and good morning to you, Ingrid. Thank you so much for joining us right here in Auckland. Obsa and Asta, how are you doing today? Joining us right here in Auckland. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you today? Yes, good to see you. Dean Vivarelli, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us from all the way out in Perth, Australia. Thank you for joining us and very welcome. And of course, we are reading The Little Frog with the Bottle Top Hat, and that is our author Dean Vivarelli. And yes, Bo, this one is for you. Thank you so much for joining in. Good to see you. Juliana, how are you doing? Brian, how are you? Emerson in the house, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us right here in Auckland. Yes, a big hello all the way from Australia. Thank you so much. Yes, we are glad to be here and we're glad you're with us. Thank you. We know it is late out there, but you're here. Thank you. Yes, good morning to you, good evening to you, wherever you're joining us from. Thank you so much for joining in. Madalena and Tudo, how are you doing today? Good to see you, joining us from San Francisco. How are you? Harmony Beth, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining in. Maya and Raven, how are you today? Right here in Auckland. Thank you for joining us. Sheba, Chanda, and Benjamin joining us from Lusaka in Zambia. How are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you so much, Obsa. I am great. And good morning to you, Desmond in Gilroy. How are you doing, buddy? And good morning to you, Jess. Good to see you both. Thank you for joining us. Oh, Junior, welcome today. Good to see you. It's been a minute. Great to see that you're out there with us today, joining us right here in Auckland. How are you doing today? Oh, Junior, and good morning to you, Robin. Thank you so much for joining us. Ellen in Chicago, how are you doing today? I can see you're having some great weather out there. Right, good to see you. Thank you so much. Auckland is nice and sunny as well. Yes, thank you so much for letting us know. Enjoy it. Good morning to you, Zayana and Zion. How are you doing today? Jayada, how are you today? Santiago and Marco, how are you? And good morning to you, Camille. Thank you so much for joining in. Jonathan Kiefer, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us. Please let us know where you're joining in from. Yes, good morning to you. And you say you're joining in, actually, Jonathan, you say you're joining in with Molly and Birdie out in Alameda, right next door. Awesome. Good to see you, Jonathan. Thank you for joining us. And good morning to you, Molly. And good morning to you, Birdie. How are you today? Lacey and Veronica, how are you doing? Good to see you. Good morning to you. And good morning to you, Danny. Good morning to you, Isabella. Good morning to you, Leslie. And of course, good morning to you, Luis. How are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, before we get started with our book, we're just going to talk about a few things. Yes, a few things that are coming up for story time. So remember that we have our poll, it's done, and so there'll be a night reading today, and all those will be posted on Storytime today. We will have a reading at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and we'll also have a reading at 8 p.m. Pacific time. Yes, this is because we got such overwhelming responses, and both times were selected pretty highly. So we're going to do both readings, one at 6 p.m. Pacific time and another one at 8 p.m. Pacific time. Yes, one to send us to bed. So do join us for that first ever night reading on Storytime. And then also author spotlights, including today's author, Dean Vivarelli. Do check them out on our Facebook page and Instagram page as well. And of course, a good thing to know is that 20% of sales from this book will be directed towards environmental and wildlife conservation efforts. So your buying this book will help those projects, those programs. Yes, so do consider getting a copy of this book. And then also just think about helping other wildlife conservation bodies such as Friends of Sasso Creek, or indeed the East Bell Municipal Council parks. And of course, wherever you are, wherever in your area where you are, think of those places that do help such causes, and be sure to help and do your part. Then some fun facts about frogs. Yes, did you know that frogs absorb water through their skin so they don't have to drink it? Yeah. And then a group of frogs is called an army. And then tadpoles have gills. They do not have lungs. The lungs develop over time before they mature into frogs. So just a few things to share with you. But of course, right now we're going to go into our book. And this one is The Little Frog with the Butter Top Hat, A New Home. And it is written by Dean Vivarelli and illustrated by Curtis Walker. Bo, enjoy this one. This is for you. One day, Bo was playing in the park when he noticed a little frog wearing a butter top hat. Bo had never seen a frog with a hat before, let alone one made from a butter top. The little frog looked sad. The little frog looked tired. "What's wrong?" Bo asked the little frog. "The water in my pond has become dirty and all the plants have died," sniffed the little frog. "My friends have all left, and I have nowhere to live." Oh. Bo felt sad for the little frog. "There must be something I can do," he thought. "I have an idea," he said, gently picking up the frog. "I will be your friend." "But where will I live?" asked the frog. "I will take you home and put a nice green plant in my garden, and you can live under my shade, under the shade of its beautiful green leaves," explained Bo. Oh. When he got home, Bo planted a beautiful frangipani in the middle of his garden. The little frog was amazed. He had never seen such a beautiful plant, and Bo's garden was so clean. There was no plastic bags or bottles or butter tops anywhere. The little frog got so excited, he sprang high into the air. Plunk! "Oops! I got so excited I landed on my head," said the little frog as he burst into laughter. "Lucky you were wearing your buttertop hat," giggled Bo. Bo and the little frog happily chased each other about the garden all day long. The little frog was hard to catch. "I love my new home," said the little frog with the buttertop hat as he sprang about the garden. Oh, sweet. When he went to bed later that night, Bo could hear the little frog's soft croaks as he slept beneath the leaves of his beautiful new green home. Bo was so happy he had met the little frog. He still wondered, however, why his new friend wore the strange little buttertop hat. The next morning, Bo walked to the sound of singing in his garden. Looking out his window, Bo was amazed to see the little frog with the buttertop hat playing with hundreds of other frogs. There were frogs everywhere. There were frogs in the trees. There were frogs on the fence. There was even a tiny frog on top of the little frog with the buttertop hat. These These are my friends, explained the little frog with the bottle top hat. I told them about your garden and they all came here to play. Bo had never seen so many frogs. We can all play hide and seek in my garden, shouted Bo with excitement. Some of the frogs' colors made them very hard to find. Later that day, Bo noticed the little frog with the buttertop hat sitting quietly by himself. What's wrong? Asked Bo as he sat down. There aren't enough plants in your garden for all my friends, said the worried little frog as he jumped onto Bo's lap. Where will they all live? Bo took a while to think about it. I have an idea, Bo said at last. I will get all my friends to put a plant in each of their gardens. Then all the frogs will have somewhere to live. Oh. Soon, Bo's neighborhood was full of all types of marvelously colored plants. There were red ones, there were purple ones, there were even big round yellow ones. The little frog with the buttertop hat had never seen a big round yellow plant before. Each day, the frogs would jump the fences to play games with each other. Some of the frogs even did somersaults. The frogs were so happy with their new homes and had so much fun playing in all the different backyards. Bo was happy too. He loved having all the frogs to play with. But most of all, he was glad that he had met the little frog with the buttertop hat. One night, Bo saw the little frog sitting high on his plant, which had now grown big and strong, staring quietly into the distance. I know that look, Bo thought. What's wrong? I was just thinking how great it would be if all the frogs in the world had a beautiful place to live like me and my friends, said the little frog. That would be nice, agreed Bo. Maybe if we tell all the children in the world about how the frogs are losing their homes, then they will put plants in their gardens too. But there are so many children in the world, said the little frog. How could we possibly tell them all? How would they do that? I know, cried Bo. I know. Let's write a book. Then all the children in the world can read about you wonderful frogs and put nice green plants in their gardens too. The little frog got so excited that he jumped high in the air and croaked out loud, waking all the other froggy friends. Plunk! Oops! At least I landed on your head this time, laughed the little frog. What will you call the book? Bo pondered. He thought, what will I call the book? But not for long. He knew the answer straight away. I know, the little frog with the buttertop hat, he said, much to the delight of his new friend. Before long, children all over the world had read about the frogs and began putting plants in each of their gardens so that all the frogs in the world would have a clean, friendly place to live. In fact, if you put a nice green plant in your garden and listen carefully at night, you might just hear the little frog with the buttertop hat and his friends playing there too. Sweet. The end. Thank you so much for joining us for that one. And of course, a big thank you to you, Dean Vivarelli, for writing this amazing book and sharing it with us and sharing it with all the children of the world. Thank you so much for joining us. And I am glad you are here. But please do remember that, yes, this book has vital lessons for us. And also proceeds from buying this book, 20% of those proceeds go into helping environmental and wildlife conservation projects. So please do consider buying yourself a copy. But yes, thank you so much for joining us today for story time. And just a reminder also of some of the things that you can do to help with wildlife conservation. One, you can just put trash in the right place. Let's put our trash in the right place, designated places, in the bins, somewhere. If you have something, carry it home, put it in the right place, right? You can also stay on trails when you're out hiking. Be sure to stay on trails so you can preserve the wildlife. And also avoid disturbing wildlife and natural habitats. Be sure to do that. And when putting plants, please consider native plants and native species to places so that we can conserve all kinds of wildlife, including our frogs. Thank you so much for joining us. And Dean Vivarelli, thank you so much for joining us all the way from out in Perth, Western Australia. I know it is late out there, but you are here with us. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. And to everybody that joined in, of course, as always, much appreciated. Let us see who else has joined us this morning. Good morning to you, Laura Anger. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining in with Liam and baby Logan in San Francisco. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us. Rita Bobita joining us with Talia in San Francisco. How are you today? Thank you so much for joining us. Irene, good to see you. Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. More readings are coming. Thank you so much. Julia Vundu Noctula and baby Nakai. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, Auntie Emily, how are you doing today? Good to see you all out there. Please do have yourself a lovely morning, a lovely day. Great to see you. It's good to see family out there. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. And of course, we have Ellen. Thank you so much. We'll see you for the night reading. And be sure to join us. Yes, in the morning, we'll have our reading tomorrow will be What Sound is Morning? And then for our night reading, we have What Color is Night? So do join us for those ones. Yes, and do join us tomorrow also at 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. for night readings. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you, Opta, once again. Good morning to you, Ella and Lily. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you, Song, Rocco, Clay, and Chriselle. How are you doing out in LBC? Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have yourselves a lovely day. Sonia Abrantes, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Good morning to you, Lacey. Thank you, thank you. Good morning to you, Jennifer Vera. Thank you for joining us. Yes. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you for reading to the kids, Miss Vera. Highly appreciate it. Sorry, Lacey. I hope you can get back and read the book afterwards. Thank you. All right. And thank you so much. It is an awesome book indeed. Thank you, Kathleen, for joining us. And thank you to you, Ellen. Little Frog with the butter top hat. Thank you so much. We highly appreciate that book and your powerful message in that book. Yes, a good reminder for us to do what is necessary to preserve and conserve wildlife. Thank you so much. And yes, we will see you tomorrow. We are back for, we'll be reading What Sound is Morning? What Sound is Morning? Join us for that one. Yes, good morning to you, Sheba Chanda. Thank you so much. Yes, Nakapendelo. True, true, true. Sherry McBroom, thank you for joining us. And you're joining in, let's see. Who else is there? Who else is with you? Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, it is a beautiful story indeed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Absolutely loved it. Thank you so much. As always, from me, it is much love, and I will see you tomorrow when we are back for more story time. Please do take care of yourselves and have a lovely, lovely day. Bye-bye.